I'm Stacie Calad-Thomson. I lead business development at NVIDIA for pharma, labs, and manufacturing.
Thanks, Stacie. Tell us a little bit more about what NVIDIA does in the life sciences space.
Yeah, so we work across the ecosystem with pharma and biotechs that are building on AI and data and enabling sort of the next generation of drug discovery. So I'm working across that ecosystem. We have just launched our BioNemo Agent Toolkit.
Okay.
So this is taking the last decade of research and products that NVIDIA has been working on in life sciences. So models that understand the language of biology and chemistry. We've packaged them up now so that agents can have access to them. It's all documentation that you can point your agent at our GitHub, and now your agent can use those tools, those skills to be able to build pipelines that help you in your own drug discovery pursuits.
Yeah. For those that wouldn't be totally, that may be familiar with NVIDIA generally, and then going, wait, hang on a second, we're talking about enabling agents and drug discovery, life sciences. That's very much in this world of this industry vertical. Why, for those that may be thinking just of NVIDIA as I don't know, the behind the scenes or the infrastructure powering stuff, what you just described is a lot more involved than all of that. Can you help fill that gap a little bit?
Yeah, so we want to make it easier for people to use and consume compute. And we do that by making open source models that are able to be used by many in the community. And I think at this next inflection point of agentic AI, it's going to be democratizing access so that you don't necessarily need to be a computational chemist or biologist to understand how to use all these tools. Yeah. It is something that's going to be more accessible to, people like just chemists or biologists that have ideas and have hypotheses and are looking to access more tools, and using agents enables them to do that. So for us at NVIDIA, if we make it easier for people to use compute, make it more accessible, then people are consuming more compute, and that ends up on a GPU usually somewhere.
That makes a lot of sense. And I guess if I think about it too, because we've been talking a long time, for recently about how with all of this data that's collected, probably not humanly possible to do it all with humans. That's where the role of artificial intelligence comes in, to be able to look at what we can do with the data that's been collected. But then, it's not just your average person that's, say, trying to do something with, you kind of need to know what you're doing with the information and what you need to ask. But then if you're getting professionals to utilize AI, you don't want them spending all of their time in training the AI on what they're looking for, if you know what I mean. Am I kind of in the right direction here? You're kind of enabling, you're taking the computery bits out for the scientists to allow them to do more sciencing?
Yeah, I think what these tools are is enabling a new coworker to join your team, and that's how I think of it. It's right now they might just be a really smart sort of PhD student, a grad student that's fresh off of their degree, that's still learning the ropes, but they have an understanding of a lot of the tools and capabilities. So part of it is treating them as a new intern that you're going to help teach how you want to be able to progress through a drug discovery program, for instance, or find that new biological target or refine that new molecular structure, and then it's going to have tools that it can call on to help you refine some of your journey as well.
What I'm learning through my time here at Bio International is there are a lot of players that kind of hone in on those specific parts that you mentioned, like the drug discovery part or the, on the molecular side. If you're kind of building this base, is that in competition? Are you collaborating? How does that kind of all come together?
We see, all of our tools are open source, so we want to make these broadly available, and we're still supporting people that have commercial models. Those are amazing models. They make it easier to consume as well than somebody that's trying to integrate an open source. So we want people to consume wherever they can and however they want to, however they're most comfortable with, whether that's through one of our commercial partners that has built on top of our stack and made something that is easier for a scientist to use, or whether that scientist wants to build something themselves with all of the tools that are in our toolkit.
And I hear also, I was reading through about the BioNemo toolkit stuff. There's like also it's across the Anthropic side and OpenAI as well.
Yeah, so any agent can be pointed at the GitHub and pull out any of our tools. So we love working with OpenAI and Anthropic. We also have some of our own LLMs, like our Nematron model and agent harnesses and NemoClaw and OpenShell. If people want to build their own and sort of control their own destiny that way as well.
Very cool. If I think about all of that kind of enabling the ecosystem, which is so cool, it's kind of like at the same time, if you've got everything available to you and the world is the oyster, so to speak, it's kind of like, well, what do I do with this? Like, how have you found the whole let's enable the ecosystem in order to, in this new world and all those other cliches, there's so many things are possible. If everything is possible, you don't actually know what you can kind of focus on. How do you work with the different kind of stakeholders to fully make use of some of this great capability you're building?
I think this is where like our startup ecosystem has amazing ideas and often very specific ideas of, where a product is needed because they understand the ecosystem as well. So we'd love to partner with them because they're building more specific solutions that can solve more specific problems. And that's what then, prevents somebody from having from us boiling the ocean and having this not knowing where to start, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. So here at Bio International, I've seen, NVIDIA's busy doing the rounds and connecting with the ecosystem. What have been the key conversations or the most relevant you found or interesting that you can share?
Yeah, so one of my roles, I'm here focusing a lot on the translation from, agentic AI and that understanding of biology and chemistry into now, how do we take that into the lab and validate some of those predictions? And how do we make the lab not the bottleneck in this design, make, test cycle now? So a lot of lab automation companies and data platforms and AI scientists are coming together in that ecosystem to enable faster lab in the loop cycle times. And so those are a lot of the conversations I'm having here on people that are interested in building out that automated lab, on thinking about physical AI now as the next frontier, so that the agents are not just making predictions, but now are connected to an orchestrator that understands the layout of your lab, that understands all of the laboratory information management system, what supplies and reagents you have, what starting materials you have, and then based on your hypothesis can then formulate an execution plan, and then being connected to all of your laboratory instruments and automation systems can then execute that. The data comes off of those instruments, then back into your data platform, and it's ready to refine those predictions and models so that you can make your next hypothesis.
Yeah, amazing. And lastly, any other final thoughts, reflections, and stuff coming away from bio, or even things that you'd hope the rest of the ecosystem will start to think about or now realize is possible?
Yeah, I think we're at this inflection point of agentic AI now, and it certainly is permeating a lot of conversations that I'm having. Big pharma are across the spectrum. Some are early adopters that are leaning in and are really at the bleeding edge with building their own AI capabilities and agentic capabilities and infusing that in every step of the process. And others are looking to partner in this space because they're wanting to sort of leapfrog into the front here. So everybody's leaning in different ways, and it's exciting to see here.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Talking Health Tech. Make sure you like and subscribe and share this episode with someone who might find it valuable. For more information and resources about healthcare innovation, visit talkinghealthtech.com.